1,000 years. 1,000 years for the curse to fully grow, to mature. My only regret is that I am unable to make this sacrifice myself, and my greatest hope is that we will still be around to use it. My heart goes out to you. Be brave and strong. When the time is right, you will know what to do. Mallory looked to Harry. Marin can read minds. I think she might be a legilimens. She shared our past experiences, our memories with each other. She got closer as if to tell him a secret. If you can connect with her, maybe. Mallory looked to Harry with the smallest hint of hope. We can get her to fight. Maybe she can resist. Harry looked to Marin. She was just a shell of how he had come to know her in the few short weeks since they met. Harry dropped his head. She's in there, Harry, Mallory said. Gawain Robards and John Dawlish walked up to the scene and were met by Ron and Hermione. The night was cold and dark, and time was running out. Gawain was filled in on the situation. He surveyed the area. Harry was standing face to face with Marin. Mallory Castor was nearby, speaking to Harry. It's our last hope, please, Mr. Potter. Try to get her to fight it, Mallory said to Harry. Harry turned to Marin. He closed his eyes. Marin, Harry thought. I know you're still there. Marin, you have been fighting this your whole life. Even now, the communication connecting with your mother and your willingness to sacrifice yourself to stop this curse show you never stopped fighting. I know you are in there, Marin. I saw you choose. You chose to reach for your mother. You chose to call for help. You're choosing right now. I can feel it. That's you. That's Marin. Not him. You are the light I feel, Marin. He is the dark. Harry could feel her now, but could not hear her speak. But he could feel her pain and her suffering. She was trying to connect, but couldn't. He was blocking her. Marin, I know you can fight this, Harry thought with all his focus. Then he heard her, distant, quiet. I can't. I'm not strong enough. Harry could feel the connection slip away as Marin put her hands outstretched to the sides. Her wand flew from the stone ground where Mallory had left it and into her right hand. She lifted her head to the sky. She stood still in this position for a few moments. Everyone stood still, everyone except Harry. Harry stepped back several feet to make some space between Marin. He pulled out his wand and pointed at Marin. Hermione screamed, Harry, as Ron held onto her by the shoulders. Everyone froze. Mallory dropped to her knees, covering her face with her hands. She couldn't watch. Expecto Patronum, Harry commanded. The stag formed, poised and ready. Harry guided the stag with a wave and intent directly at Marin. The stag galloped at Marin, lowering its head, hitting her with its antlers, flowing through her. As it passed through, it pulled with it a reddish, worm-like glowing energy that dissipated once pulled away from Marin. Harry turned to everyone. Everyone, produce a Patronus. Help her fight it. Everyone began. Expecto Patronum. Bluish, ghostly creatures began to materialize and gently glide through Marin, each taking turns. Hermione's otter swam around Marin, taking repeated dives through her chest. Ron's dog playfully bounced through her side, wagging its tail. Gawain's spider monkey was especially quick in his attacks on the reddish, worm-like energy within Marin. Harry looked at Mallory. She was not casting a Patronus. She saw him looking at her and shamefully said, I don't have one. I never could. Harry sent his stag again at Marin and walked to Mallory. He stopped at her side and said, You never could because he wouldn't let you. But now, think of her. Think of what she just gave you. Mallory thought for a moment, her mind scanning the recent memories she received from her daughter. She had it. It wasn't a memory her daughter had inserted into her head. It was a memory of the feeling she got when her daughter let her into her memories. That act of giving, not the memories themselves. She closed her eyes and said, Expecto Patronum. A silvery blue raven flew from her wand and right into Marin, who remained completely still as Patronuses flew through her from all directions. Mallory looked to Harry with happy surprise. Marin could see the Patronuses passing through her, but couldn't move. She could feel them, not physically, but more in an emotional sense. She felt lighter on each pass. Then her vision clouded with red until all that she could see was red, a writhing ribbon of dark red mist. She felt the binding magic dissolve in this space. She was free to move. She looked down at her hands. There was no ground, no world, just red. She closed her eyes to try to clear the red away. She opened them to find a man standing about 15 feet away, facing her, the man from the lithograph. Merwin the Malicious. He looked like he was struggling, like he was in pain. Something was affecting him. Marin realizes it is the Patronus charms that are weakening him. Gawain made an announcement, his voice cutting through the tension. It's only 9 minutes until midnight. The Patronuses stopped, all fading away as everyone looked to one another. Hermione looked to Harry, tears already streaming down her face. It's not working. We have to do it, Harry. Harry fought for an argument, any argument. He couldn't think of one. Give her 8 minutes, he said finally. Then we'll all do it. Mallory began to cry, trying to hold back her emotions. She looked to Harry. I'm sorry. I don't think I can do this. Hermione began to cry harder. Harry felt the hope he'd had moments ago slip away. He turned away from Hermione and pointed his wand at Marin. Expecto Patronum. A light came from his wand, formed a small shield, and faded into nothing. Harry was defeated. In the red space, Marin looked to Merwin and said, You believe magic is only in us. That muggles are lesser, but you're wrong. Life itself is the magic, all of it. Every heartbeat, every breath, muggle or wizard. You've known this. Some part of you always has. That's why you had to break your own soul to do what you did, because deep down, you knew it was wrong. Merwin looked at Marin and frowned. What do you know? My soul understood the truth, split or not. Marin smiled sadly. You were broken before you ever cast this curse. You know that. You felt it every day, the pieces of your soul that don't fit together. You thought destroying others would fix you. But it didn't. It never could. Because you're destroying the very thing you need. She looked him right in the eyes. Life. Connection. The thing that makes us whole. Merwin's eyes shifted. He couldn't look at her anymore. Marin continued anyway. You don't have to carry this anymore. You don't have to be broken. Let it go. Let me go. Choose something different than what you chose 1,000 years ago. Choose to end it. You know it's right. Merwin closed his eyes. Even in death, my soul never could rest, he said, looking down. I could never move on. I knew killing would destroy my soul, and I did it anyway. I ruined countless lives for what? He dropped to his knees, his hands over his face. He began to sob. My anger consumed me. It took me over. His cries turned to something primal, almost rage. They made me do it, he screamed. Marin felt a pull again, the pull she had always known. Merwin was regaining energy. She felt control slipping away. Outside, Harry tried again to produce his Patronus charm. Again, it fell short. Everyone watched as hope wasted away. Harry's wand hand lowered to his side. We can't just give up on her. Please, somebody please, we can't give up. Harry looked around, but no one answered him. Ron walked to him and put his hand on his shoulder. It's over, mate. There are only 5 minutes left. Harry fell to his knees, his hands in his lap, his wand loose in his grip. I failed her. Then, from behind him, he heard a booming voice. Expecto Patronum. A silvery blue Jack Russell Terrier flew over Harry's head and ran straight for Marin. It jumped up on her like it had been waiting all day to see her. Then an otter streamed past, floating on its back toward Marin. Harry stood up. A rising feeling filled him. He cleared his mind, brought up the feeling. His mother, his father, loving him with all they could. It filled him completely. Expecto Patronum. His stag appeared, powerful and present. In the red space, Marin's eyes began to cloud over with dark swirls as she felt Merwin's grip tighten. Then she felt them again, the unmistakable feeling of light, of good. Merwin doubled over in pain, and Marin regained control. The darkness left her eyes. She ran to Merwin, who was now on his knees. She grabbed the sides of his head and pulled him close. You must end this, she said. She entered his mind. In his weakened state, it was easy to navigate. She found it, a memory. The only memory he had of his daughter. A fleeting image of his unborn child glowing with a warm reddish light shining through his wife's round belly. She presented the image to his conscious mind. She didn't want all this. She just wanted a father. You were not a monster. She spoke the words directly to his conscience. His eyes welled with tears. He looked into Marin's eyes. You remind me of my wife, he said. He smiled and slowly faded away into nothing. Marin's connection with his mind was broken as he faded. That feeling she had always known, the pull at her magic, was gone. The ruins of the square came into view as a silver spider monkey jumped through Marin. Marin, Harry yelled. Everyone ran over to help her to her feet. Hermione said, Are you okay? Marin nodded. He's gone. Ron chuckled. Yeah, we saw. Marin looked at Ron with confusion. Saw? Harry said. We saw Merwin materialize. He spoke to your mother and vanished. Marin looked to her mother, who was already staring at her daughter with an unsure look. Marin took Harry's hand. He released me. It's over. She walked to her mother and stopped in front of her. Mallory tried to look her daughter in the eyes, but couldn't do it. Marin put a finger on her mother's chin and raised her head so their eyes met. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then Marin took her mother into her arms and squeezed her. Mallory said, He apologized to me and said you saved him. Thank you, Marin. A few weeks had passed. The playoffs were in full swing, and the Holyhead Harpies had sailed through into the quarterfinals. The VIP box Harry had rented was packed. Not just the Weasley clan, but Marin and Mallory were there. 4 Aurors, including John Dawlish and Gawain Robards, were amazed at how good the seats were. Marin found herself unconsciously watching this group of people who would become her family. People who chose her, who sit with her, who make space for her. Marin catches Mallory's eye across the box, and her mother smiles. Ron turns to Harry and says, Now, if we were out there, this match would have already been over. The box erupts in groans and laughter.